Welcome back to the weird and the wonderful with Strange Bones. That's me. And as we get started and let a few more people join in, we are going to be doing the second part of what turning out to possibly be a three-part series on the cosmogony of the world. Muzumasego, welcome. So yeah, as we get started with our live, we're going to start off by pointing out that in case you missed it, last night for some reason the internet went down just after 12, and that kind of cut everything short, unfortunately. But nevertheless, we cut on a segment, so we were actually about to end anyway, which was at least that. And we managed at the very least to get the live finished, even if we didn't manage to properly end off as is usual. Nevertheless, we are back again, and I think that's going to be pretty cool. So welcome to it's your boy Savage, and to Tasyaza. Welcome. I hope you're all having a fantastic evening. And yeah, we're going to be carrying on with our theme of the current live. As you know, we do things weird and wonderful from all over the globe, purely out of curiosity and interest. And we do it for our curiosity, amusement, and education. We do not promote nor deride any one of these ideas. And with that said, I'm going to point out to you that we have one rule, which is don't be rude. If you're rude or disruptive, we give you the boot. We don't allow that. But we do allow you to agree, disagree, or have an opinion, as long as you're polite about it. So absolutely comment as much as you like. Give all of your opinions and more. And of course, once we get to know you and we see you around a couple of times and you're a bit active, we let you on as a multi-guest as well, which is pretty cool. And the reason that we're strict with our multi-guest is entirely because we've had a number of pretty hardcore trolls in the past, and I have a very low tolerance for trolls. There's really no need to be an idiot. So, and of course, for the first time, for those of you who don't know, it's kind of become a thing that I have to wear my hood for all the lives. I put it on one evening because it was suitably cold, and it's become expected. So I went and got my proper winter hood, which I've been wearing. But now it's warmed up a little bit, so I have switched to my summer hood, which is a lot thinner. And somebody was saying that they actually wanted one. So I'm going to see if I can get some made. And if you do want one, do let me know, and I will see what can be done. They're pretty cool. It's a loose hood that you can wear with pretty much anything. And yeah, you look suitably Skyrim while wearing one. I find them very nice for hiking and what have you, because they keep the old balding head suitably protected. And certainly in cold weather, they do warm you up. My winter one is double thick, and my summer one is very thin. But yeah, if you want to look like a necromancer, this is the way to rock it. But that said, so our theme has been the cosmogony of the world. What is the world made up of? How many layers, and who says what about it? And of course, we went through a lot of the European stuff. So we did the Christian view and the Jewish view, and quite a few of the others around the Vikings and the Germans and the Anglo-Saxons and more. And that was pretty cool, and we started branching out. And it seems there's a lot of different views, and they get stranger and stranger as you go along, which I think is suitable for a Halloween type theme, if you will. So suitably interesting, shall we say, and with all kinds of implications for the cultures and the religions that come out of the varying places as well, I should think. But what is really interesting about it is the fact that a great many of the things that are said, while they are sort of bound up in, hey Karina, while they are bound up in what we can call mythological terminology, it seems that there might be a lot more possible truth to it than you might think. And what with quantum physics and more, we are now starting to see that maybe they might know more than we thought back in the day. Huge thanks to Karina for those roses. And that brings us on to the last thing before we begin in proper, which is to say that we run this channel based on your guys' support. So like, share, subscribe. Likes are free to give. So definitely do that. Definitely share and subscribe. Join the fan club and send lots of gifts. It helps out massively. And thanks to the extreme generosity of Karina, we have reached halfway to our live goal, which is pretty cool for being only 7 minutes in. I am impressed. So yeah, massive thanks to Karina for that. And as we progress, we were just sort of touching on the Egyptian cosmology when we got cut off last night after midnight, but we were in for 2 hours, so it wasn't a terrible ending. That said, we're going to pick up from the Egyptian and take things on further. So if you're keen on something weird, wonderful and interesting, this is the place to be. And let's see what we can discover. So as we were saying in the last live, Egyptian mythology is a very interesting sort of thing, and by and large you've got a set of realms that matter, that hold reality in place, and we rely on the gods to do so. Balance is kept by the goddess Maat, and of course the sun god Ra leads the holding off of chaos from taking over the world as such, as you can imagine. So a huge thanks for those likes as well. That's very kind of you. Are much appreciated. Now the whole aim, as it were, is to get from this world into the afterlife. And for the Egyptians, it was a lot harder to do that than you might think. It wasn't just a case of once you die, you get judged and sent straight on. Not at all. Once you die, you absolutely do get judged. But once you've been judged, even having successfully passed the test and avoided devouring by Ammit, after the judging by Anubis against the feather of Maat, you still have to cross the great desert and travel up the Duat, the river of fate, in order to reach the afterlife. And if you don't make it, that's on you. So of course you absolutely had to have guidance in that regard. And of course, in terms of doing that, you had the Book of the Dead, which was entirely about how to get there. It was a user's manual for getting to the afterlife. And of course, there were a number of things you could do to improve on it, but they cost a lot of money, which meant that the richer and more powerful you were, the more likely you were to get to the afterlife. Whereas if you were poor, well, it sucks to be you. So the world was seen to be made of different parts, and what made it really interesting was that, oh, Karina, thank you so much. Live goal achieved. That is awesome. I appreciate that massively. That's very, very kind of you. So the world was basically the air between that separated the waters above or the skies above from the earth below. And of course, the god of air kept the goddess of the heavens from being with the god of earth, her love, which is kind of sad in a way. But that's basically where we are, and it's important to us that they are separate. Now, of course, through this and around this, you have the river of the Duat that goes both under the earth and over the heavens. So you've got at least 3 important parts to the universe, which matters very, very greatly. And traveling this was quite difficult, but the gods could do it, of course, and Ra, the sun god, would drive the chariot of the sun around and at the same time hold back the great snake of chaos that wants to crash everything down. So that would be basically how you manage to keep the world in place, and that gives us somewhere to live. So we live on Geb, the earth, and under Nun, the sky, and we have Sif, the air that blows between, to give us somewhere to live. And we are a balance, a calm spot within the great sea of chaos that surrounds and threatens to destroy all things. And of course, with a certain amount of political influence, the most important connection between our world and the gods is, of course, the Pharaoh. So you've got to be good to him and support him, because without him we have no real connection to the gods, except for the priests, and even they rely on the Pharaoh to quite a great degree. So Pharaohs are semi-divine, and that means that they get to do as they please. Great job if you can get it. But there you go. That was the Egyptian. Now we are going to jump in with today's start with the Greeks. And the Greeks as well, most interestingly. Thank you for sharing the live, Karina. That is really, really awesome. So guys, take note of the kindness. And Shane's joined. Shane, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing, sir? It's rather awesome to have my friends on. They are very good friends of mine that went all the way to another country and therefore are not around here anymore. So it's good to be able to chat to them, especially seeing as there we go. That is awesome. I am very glad to hear that you are achieving your goals and all. So yeah. So let's start with the Greeks and see what the Greeks say. We know that. Thank you for the like, sir. We know that the Greeks say everything began with chaos. the formless void from which emerged the primordial deities. And of course, the primordial deities were also not just gods, but things. So you had Gaia, the earth, and you had Uranus, the sky. And the initial structure was a flat disc-shaped earth with a sky above, an outer ocean, and an underworld, which was in fact two portions. So you had both Hades and you had Tartarus, and all were ruled by the gods that brought order to the universe. And the word cosmos itself means order, the opposite of chaos. And most interestingly, we actually get both the words chaos and cosmos from the Greek. So there you go, we get that in that regard. Now, as we progress with that, we see that along with Chaos, Gaia and Uranus, you also had Oceanus, the great cosmic ocean that surrounds the earth, and Tartarus, a deep abyss below the earth. Now, the order and arrangement of everything was very important, and it was the job of the gods to maintain it. So Zeus, under his title Zeus Cosmetes, means the one who puts in order, was the main boy, which is kind of surprising in a way that he had the time to look after the order of the earth, given how much he was running around causing hell on it. In that regard, he was quite the boyki, according to Greek mythology. So, a dodgy character, mostly good, but yeah, a dodgy character, nevertheless. We know, of course, you also had the god Hades, Hades, the god of the underworld, whose realm was located beneath the earth, along with Tartarus. And you had Helios, the sun god, who traversed the sky each day and sailed around the earth in a golden bowl at night. So he was both the sun and, to a certain degree, the moon. Now, along with the idea there, you have a whole collection of stories explaining things. If you read Hesiod's Theogony, he explains the whole lot of the origin and creation of the cosmos and how the gods came to be, and how the world was made from the parts of a giant. Huge thanks for those likes and more from Chantel. I appreciate that greatly. I hope that you are having a wonderful, wonderful evening. And welcome to all of those others that have joined on the live. That is very, very cool. Now, of course, all of this went down into the great philosophies that were so important to the Greeks, and it brought in understandings in mathematics and astronomy and more. So it wasn't just about a mythology by any means, but a way of explaining the universe. And of course, the astronomical models that were developed by the ancient Greek astronomers became the systematic model bases that even today have influence. So of course we are far more scientific and much more updated in that regard, I suppose. Though as we're discovering, looking at it, these guys knew a lot more than they seem to as we learn more. So you've got a number of bases to all of these things, including the elemental construction of everything as well. So the Theogony, in case you're wondering, by Hesiod, was all about how things worked with the gods and more, and that did matter to a lot of people. So it was written in the 8th century BC by the poet Hesiod, and it was basically a genealogy of the birth of the gods and why they came into being and in what way, which was a way also of explaining the world. So you start with absolute chaos, a dark, infinite void, considered a divine primordial condition from which everything else appears. This then goes on with the rise of the main gods, but Zeus was not one of the first. He was a kiddie. Huge thanks for those likes as well. He was a kiddie of the gods, of the Titans, in fact. And as we're going along, we're discovering maybe the Titans, which were always portrayed as the bad guys, weren't as bad as all that, actually. And sometimes it was really the gods' fault. But they won, so they got to dictate who was right and wrong. So you have the heavens and the underworld and the middle world. And the middle world, of course, is us, where we are. And that's very, very important. Now, in the succession myth, Cronus overthrew Uranus, and in turn, Cronus and his fellow Titans were overthrown by Zeus and his brothers Poseidon and Hades. And that was the point at which the permanent ruler of the cosmos came into being. So Uranus initially produced 18 children, rather disturbingly, with his mother, Gaia. The 12 Titans, the 3 Cyclopses, and the 3 Hecatonchires, the 100 Handers. But he hated them, and he hid them away somewhere inside Gaia. Angry and in distress, Gaia fashions a sickle made from adamantine. So all of you fantasy followers know what adamantine is, supposedly the hardest material ever. And she urged her children to punish their father, but only her son Cronus, the youngest Titan, was willing to do so. So Gaia hid Cronus in ambush and gave him the adamantine sickle. And when Uranus came to visit Gaia, Cronus reached out and castrated him. And this enabled the Titans to be born and Cronus to assume the supreme command of the cosmos. I did warn you that some of these stories do get a little bit strange and personal. Now, Cronus took over and wanted to ensure he maintained control. So Uranus and Gaia had prophesied to Cronus that one of his own children would overthrow him. So when Cronus married Rhea, he made sure to swallow each of the children that he birthed: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus, in that order, to Rhea's great sorrow. But when Rhea was pregnant with Zeus, she begged her parents to help her save Zeus, and they sent Rhea to Lyctus on Crete to bear Zeus. And Gaia took the newborn Zeus to raise him in hiding beneath Mount Aigaion. Now, Rhea gave Cronus a huge stone wrapped in a baby's clothes, and he swallowed it thinking it was Zeus. Now, Zeus grew up and forced Cronus, using certain trickery from Gaia, to disgorge the other 5 children who somehow were still alive. And he released his uncles, the Cyclopses, still imprisoned beneath the earth, along with the 100 Handers, who then provide Zeus with his thunderbolt. And a great war began, the Titanomachy. And so Zeus and his siblings and Cronus and the Titans, and they fought for control of the cosmos for the 10th of that year. The 10th year. So 10 years. And then they released the 100-handers who joined the war against the Titans, and using the thunderbolt and these, whatever these 100-handers were, they defeat the Titans and fling them into Tartarus. Now the final threat, of course, came in the form of the monster Typhon, the son of Gaia and Tartarus, and with his thunderbolt he did this and imprisoned Typhon into Tartarus as well. So definitely kicked some godly buttocks. Jay, how are you doing?
Fine.
Good. Are you having an easier evening tonight? It being weekend.
No, I'm making coffee for my dad.
Well,
It's boring.
it's a job you have to do. Parents are important. Having people make coffee for you is also important. All children should do it.
Yeah, I just joined because I'm bored.
Well,
Wait, who's this guy messaging me?
I'm glad you did join. It is awesome that you are here, sir. So
yeah, but I just wanted to tell you that I'm making coffee. So I'm gonna wait. I have to equip that thing.
is all good.
Okay, I don't wanna unclaim. I wanna buy it. I wanna claim. Oh, you know what? Okay, I'm not gonna even talk about that.
Well, all good, sir. So, carrying on from where we left off last time, we are doing Greek cosmogony.
Help me. It's an overload.
It's an overload.
You're gonna have to help me.
So, following all of this, the other gods started being born.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about Greek cosmogony.
Oh yeah, it was Halloween yesterday.
Yes.
I saw the costumes, there were no scary stuff. Oh.
Do people dress up where you are?
No, I mean like on TikTok I saw Americans
yeah.
do it. There was nothing scary.
Well, it's more fun, I think, in getting sweeties.
Back in 2017 there was scary stuff.
You've got to be too careful these days, in case you offend somebody.
Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye.
Bye. Jay. So, all the gods then develop, and the world gets made from the body of one of the giants, and varying bits, some of which are somewhat dubious. And it seems that the gods start giving birth to many, many lesser gods and beasts, which includes the Hydra, the Chimera, the Sphinx, the Nemean lion. And if you know any of the Greek mythology, you will recognize these creatures right there. Now, we see that there were thousands of gods that became parts of the world, including Nilith, the Nile, And rather interestingly, if you're a Harry Potter fan, one of the Greek lesser gods was Scamander. So there you go. There were all kinds of nymphs and what have you, and other beings that turn up. Helios the sun, Selene the moon, Eos the dawn, and so on and so forth. And this forms the earth as we know it. So largely, the earth is made up of gods, which then go on to form the bits between the heavens, Elysium, and with the places that the gods dwell up there, and the bad parts below. But of course, on the side, you have the deep oceans, which is kind of a realm in and of itself. And that's very important. Oh, thank you so much for the heart me from Karina. I do appreciate that greatly. Very, very kind. I don't think she is on any longer, but nevertheless, huge, huge thanks. So, it's a triune cosmos. But let's talk about a Zulu cosmogony. So what do the Zulus say? Well, the cosmos by and large is a spiritual realm. You've got the creator god, who by and large is unnamed. He's just known as the Great One, Nkulunkulu. But thereafter you have an absolute crap ton of ancestors, spirits, and more, all interconnected with the physical world in strange ways that are managed and organized and understood only by those who are called by the ancestors to power, the Sangomas, the Inyangas, the Smiths, and more. So humanity was created from reeds, which explains the Swazi reed dance. It's a fertility, right? The sky is a solid dome, and the celestial bodies move on it. The ancestors, the Amadlozi, are the intermediaries between the living and the divine. So people don't really die per se. They remain in a different way, which is very important. So you have the Great One, the first to emerge, he who is himself, so to speak, Nkulunkulu, but he's a distant god. So the ancestors, the Amadlozi, are very important because they are the ones that are the intermediaries between the divine and the living. And they must be dealt with. They are guides, protectors, but they must be honored and appeased through quite a bit of ritual. Otherwise, things can go badly wrong if they get upset with you. The sun and the moon are personifications in a certain way, as are the stars. And the stars show the cosmic order. And so they can be used for guidance in that regard. Now within this, because the world is essentially entirely spiritual, with the physical bits merely being the shells around in a way, the role of the Isangoma and the Inyanga and those types become very, very important because they can communicate with the ancestors properly and use their varying rituals and divinations to understand how to restore any harmony that is disrupted. So the world arose from a swamp of reeds after Nkulunkulu developed out of it himself, and then mankind was created and placed upon the earth. So really you have one world. with stuff stuck on, which makes it different to the majority of cosmogonies, because everything is here. The heavens, the hells, the everything, it's all one place. And everything, therefore, continuously interacts, making it very important to keep a balance. Now, this is not true of all African cosmogonies at all. Many do have a three-tiered model, like many other places, where you have the sky for the gods, the earth for the human world, and the underworld realm of the ancestors. But the Zulu one is more contained. It's all in one, by and large. But everything is interconnected, even when they have a three-tiered world. And you will find that the African viewpoint is not that far different from the majority of views of things, including the Christian and Jewish and Muslim views of it, which makes it very interesting as well. Now, as we progress with that, we see that the world was made to be perfect, but things kind of went wrong due to some kind of human mistake or transgression, which then let death, sickness, and hardship come into the world. Very much an ancestral and animistic viewpoint of things. And to look at specifics briefly, from the DRC we have the Kuba, and Mbombo, the giant white-colored deity that existed alone in the world of darkness and water, became ill, and he vomited the sun, moons, and stars and 9 animals. And these animals then continued the work of creation, eventually leading to humans. And once creation was complete, Mbombo departed to the heavens. So yes, we are made of vomit. The Fang from Cameroon, Gabon, and Equatorial Guinea say that there is a triune deity, Nzame, composed of Nzame, strength, Mbere, leadership, and Nkwa, beauty. And they created the world and the first leader, Fam. And after Fam's rebellion, a new world was created with the first human ancestor, Sekume. So Fam was not human, though he was the first. The Ife from Uganda and DRC say that the Supreme Being and the moon created the first man, Batsi, from clay. Humans went to heaven but grew old. And this changed after a woman ate the fruit of a forbidden tree, and that brought them to die. So instead of just getting older and older and older, now they would die. The Congo say that the world is split between the world of the living and the world of the dead, Kalunga. Separated by a body of water after death, the person's soul enters Kalunga, which is a mirror image of the living world. The supreme creator God is Nzambi Mpungu, who made the world and all the spirits within. So they have a dual cosmogony. Now, in Ethiopia, you have a number of different things. So Wak, Guracha, the black god, created the cosmos from the primordial water. This obviously does not go exactly the same with all Ethiopians, because the different religions do add to things, and things like the Book of Enoch, which is not part of the Western Christian views, but is part of the Ethiopian, influences the views of things and the cosmic struggle and the fallen angels and divine judgment and all the rest of it. So generally with the indigenous traditions, everything was created from water, where the creator god Wak Guracha shaped the universe from the primordial water with a star called a Bakalacha, which then gave a spiritual connection to the world and sunlight. The nature of the divine, of course, Wak, is seen as an invisible, infinite force who is the source of order, balance, and life. And all nature and all the universe is governed by principles of reciprocity and respect. Cosmic order and ethics, therefore, are important, and the world is a moral order based on righteousness and proper conduct, known as Safu. The divine is not a wrathful entity, but a sustainer that you can connect with through gratitude. And when things go bad, it's because there hasn't been balance, gratitude, and respect. Now, this, of course, is heavily influenced with the Book of Enoch, which is a very great important to the Ethiopian Jews and the Ethiopian Christians. And of course, it ties everything together, meaning that there is an importance and power to astronomy. And the astronomical observation will tell you the important religious dates, but also whether or not the religion and the spirituality of the world is in balance and things will be okay. Because if it is not, that's when you get chaos, war, sickness, and more. So the indigenous beliefs have bound in with the incoming Christianity that happened a very, very, very long time ago. So everything from water, which we've seen before in a number of other countries and cultures. But to go a little deeper, we see that the viewpoint of the Oromo of Ethiopia, there was an influence from outside later on, but initially, at least, shall we say, they were very interested in understanding the world and what God might be and how God manages things. So this developed them to say that order was the important bit. And it was more a concept first than it was a God. The God part comes in later. It was the idea that things must be managed in a way. What makes it different is that it wasn't the kind of thing where my God is my God and your God is your God. And so mine's right, yours wrong. They kind of had the view of it's all about order, and if your God can fit in that order, then he must be good and it's okay, but if not, then he's bad and it doesn't. So the idea behind is much, much more rational. it follows the idea of keeping balance, and therefore the three parts of the world is all about this balance, with us in the middle as being what should be the proper balance. But we have to do our bit and play our part, because if we don't, then we are responsible for the upset and the damage that follows. So it's our fault if things go wrong. So you've got to keep that in mind as you progress with. So it makes it a much more reasonable and personable kind of view of the cosmos, that we keep the balance ourselves between heaven, hell, and this world. It's as much our job as anybody else's. Now, moving along with that, as we go, in Australia, now this was something that was brought up in one of the last lives, because I was asked, what is the dream time anyway? Well, in Australian mythology, the cosmos is not separate from the land, but is a continuation of it, known as the dreaming, that happens within the dream time. The sky world is a celestial landscape where ancestral beings and spirits who created the world, its laws, and all of that continue to exist and interact with Earth, often appearing in the form of celestial bodies like stars and constellations, the sun and the moon. But there is a direct relationship between the Earth and the sky world, and the connection is the river or road between, which is the Milky Way. The dreaming is the foundational content, where the time of creation and the ancestral beings who made the world are linked through into the present day. It's not in any way separate, but almost archetypal in a way, where the first of the first are all still there. And I'm not entirely sure if I have it right, whether we are a reflection of there, or there is a reflection of here, or if it's both. But the ancestral beings are still alive and still around. So you have the Sun Woman, which is a figure that travels the sky world carrying the blazing torch, which is the sun. I'm not going to try to say the names. I value my sanity. There are the seven sisters that are the Pleiades. You, of course, have the important creator that did pretty much everything in the creation part, which is the rainbow serpent, associated with rainbows and water. And we know that, amongst other things, Orion is seen as a group of dingoes chasing the Pleiades. So the cosmos is important, it's active, it's not a passive thing out there. And the sky is a canvas for stories, for navigation and timekeeping, because it is alive. The movements of the ancestors and the primordial beings reflects down to mark not only journeys but inner journeys as well. Now, of course, exactly how that works does vary between the different Aboriginal tribes, but again you're seeing kind of a singular form of cosmogony. It's one that's sort of stretched out a little, but still one, unlike most others. Now, the Polynesian mythology again is a little bit different. It's a vast interconnected space born from the primordial union of the Sky Father and the Earth Mother. And the separation of the sky and the earth by the gods created the earth as we know it and gave birth to the cosmos, populated thereafter by the deities and imbued with mana, the sacred energy. So the celestial bodies like Terra, the sun, and Te Marama, the moon, were placed in the sky to form the family of lights, which is very pretty. So you have a primordial state where the universe began in darkness and separation, with Rangi pressing down on Papa so that nothing can exist between. The god Tane, along with other offspring, push Rangi and Papa apart, creating space for light, life, and the cosmos. This new space is described in a tripartite structure of the heavens and the earth and the underworld. The creation of light then is important to illuminate and give life to the place. Now, this could not be without Tane's actions, and of course is done through the importance of mana, which is through everything: God's people, rocks, trees, waves, everything. And the having of and the developing of mana is one of the key roles in the Polynesian view of things. Some say that the underworld has more than one place. So there is a realm of monsters, according to some in the Polynesian islands, called Lalautai. And there are ways to get in there if you were so foolish as to want to. But the stars and the celestial bodies are massively important, which is very unsurprising if you think about it, because of course they were known for their navigation and crossing of the great oceans, which you could never do without the stars. Now, from the state of upper darkness and the unformed void of Po, you get light, according to the Hawaiian version of this. And Po is darkness or night. Life only unfolds in stages or eras, if you will, called Wa. And it begins as simple marine organisms that evolve into complex things, an evolution, if you will, which, if you think that this is a primitive mythology, you are very wrong. It's quite advanced. So the darkness gives way to Ao, which is day or light, and humankind, and the transition is marked by this emergence of the lights, the creation of the heavens, the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, and so on, which generally is seen as the triad of gods, the Ku, Kaua, Kai, which are Kane, Ku, and Lono. So the sky and the earth. The sky is a dome resting on the rim of the earth, so it's kind of like a calabash with a cover, a bowl wherein everything is, with a dome above. The heavens are the space between the earth and the highest heavens. So you've got the terrestrial space, the airy space, Kalewa, and the highest fixed heavens, Kalanipa, where the sun and the moon and the stars are. The ocean and the underworld are together, and Kanaloa is in the underworld and is the counterpart to Kane, the god of the sky and light. So you're immediately seeing again your triune cosmos, to go with the triune gods. You've got Wakea, the sky father, and Papahano Mokoa, the earth mother. And their actions and causings of creation formed the Hawaiian Islands themselves. So the islands are alive, which is very, very important. And humanity only came thereafter, along with other significant deities that got involved, as it were. But again, we've got a triune cosmos. Now, the Mongols, especially the Tengrism, is absolutely, again, a three vertical realms, the upper, middle, and lower worlds. And they have a central axis, like a great many of the other ones we've covered, the world tree. So the upper world, or the heavens, or the sky, the holiest realm, home to the supreme deity Tengri himself, the eternal blue sky, and certain other high-order gods and spirits, may have a multiple strata, so that the most powerful are at the top and the not so important ones lower down. But the Atlan Hada, the North Star, the golden peg, is the sky nail that holds up the heavens and marks the top of the cosmic axis. The middle world is Earth, where the realm of humans, animals, plants, and more are sustained by Tengri, the Sky Father, and Etugen, the Earth Mother. It's considered the center of the universe. So we are at the center of the world. Harmony and balance is therefore important. Below us is the dark world, the lower world, the underworld, or hell, located down, and also has several strata. It's the domain of evil spirits and demons ruled by Erlik Khan, the lord of the underworld, who is obviously at the lowest point. So your celestial bodies are also important. They say that at a time there were 7 suns, and it scorched the earth, and the great archer Erki Mergen shot 6 of them down, leaving a single one, so that we could actually live safely on the earth. And the earth and the moon and the sun all are in concert in their movements, and the sun and moon revolve around the central world, which at its very center is the mountain Mount Suma. So you've got that going. There is, through the middle of it, the golden world tree, or life tree, and we are stuck on its trunk. Excuse me. So they have one of the oldest triune viewpoints of the cosmos in that regard. The Mongols, however, they also had their things that were quite interesting. They knew about quite a lot, especially astronomy. They had worked out, quite a lot of them, with their own names, of course. So Orion's belt would have been the 3 deer stars. Cassiopeia is the 5 man stars. The swan is the bow and arrow. The North Star is the golden spike, Atlangaras. So they definitely had that going, and interestingly, they worked out the positions of the planets Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, though of course they had their own names for them. And of course, therefore, these heavenly bodies were deified, and that kind of idea in that regard. And one of their most important things comes from the Big Dipper, the Great Bear, and it's very, very important. And they say that this great beast, which was hunted by varying heroes in epic tales, if you will, shows the importance, oh, good Lord, of connecting the celestial bodies in the sky with the earth. Now, in Zoroastrianism in Persia, you had, if you recall, two gods. You had the good god, Ahura Mazda, and the bad god, Angra Mainyu, or Ahriman. Now, their cosmic timeline is divided into a 12,000-year drama with a three-tiered physical structure to the universe. You have a stone or metal vault above, which is the sky, where the realm of endless lights is, where Ahura Mazda resides. There are three levels: the star base, the moon base, and the sun base. And so they resolve around the cosmic mountain, Mount Alborz. Between that is the atmosphere, the middle realm, and beneath is the flat disk of the earth, resting on the cosmic sea, Varukarta. In the center is the cosmic mountain Hara, from which the great river Advi flows. There are 7 continents, and the central one is Kvanirata, the Aryan land. And below the earth is the realm of darkness and chaos. It's interesting to note, though, that the Aryans that everyone seems to think are Germans are not in any way German. No German was ever an Aryan, and never will be. The Aryans are absolutely from a different set of understandings, which probably is influenced by the people that lived in the upper part of India. Now, we know that you start off with your cosmic drama of 4 periods, each 3,000 years, and Menog is the first. Ahura Mazda creates the universe and all beings in a spiritual, ideal form. Menog means ideal. And during this time, Ahura Mazda and Angra Mainyu exist in separate realms, light and darkness. And they fought over the next 9,000 years. And Ahura Mazda traps Angra Mainyu within the cosmos. So Getig, material creation, then occurs when Angra Mainyu lay stunned by Ahura Mazda's prayer. And in this time, Ahura Mazda brings his creations into Getig, the material world, over a single year. Sky, water, earth, plants, animals, including the primordial bull, and the first human, Geomard, and finally fire. Now Angra Mainyu woke and assaulted the material creations, introducing death, disease, and chaos to the perfect world. He killed the primordial bull and Geomard, the first man, but from their seeds all beneficial animal and plant life and the first human couple were born. This period is the struggle between good and evil, and humans have free will to choose their path. We're in this bit now. Now, the final renovation, Frashokareti, will then occur, and it begins with the appearance of the prophet Zoroaster, and it will accumulate with the final battle where the savior figure, Saoshayant, will oversee the purging of evil from the world through a flood of molten metal that the righteous will be immune to. Evil will be defeated, hell destroyed, the dead resurrected, and the cosmos will go back to being perfect. But we continue. Now the Jews also had your three-tiered universe, heaven, earth, and the underworld. So heaven was Shamayim, where God and all of his angels and more live. It was considered to be a solid inverted dome or firmament, Rakya, which separated the waters above the sky from the waters on earth. The dome had windows or floodgates through which rain could fall. And it might have also had 7 concentric heavens. Vilon or Arafel, closest to the earth. Rakya, where fallen angels are imprisoned and planets are fastened. Shakim, home to the Garden of Eden and the Tree of Life. Maon, where the heavenly Jerusalem is and the temple. Makon, for the angels to live in. Zebul, the lofty abode. And of course, Arabos, the holiest of heavens, where the throne of God is. And, interestingly, the souls of the unborn. Below that, of course, you have the earth, Eretz, the middle earth, the dwelling place of humanity. It was flat, a disk resting on the foundations above the primordial water. So originally it was a flat earth. Below that is Sheol, the realm of the dead, beneath the earth and connected also to the cosmic waters. Considered shadowy for the dead, a place without knowledge or feeling. Later on it started including specific abodes for the righteous dead and places of punishment for the wicked. Now, the world we know was created in a specific order in accordance with Genesis over 6 days out of the formless void. And there's a symmetrical pattern. So yeah, primarily this cosmology is anthropocentric, and it's the physical physical aspects are less important than the moral relationship, not morale, but moral, good or badness with God and the divine person of creation. Now, the Arabs, which then influenced Islamic cosmology, they said that the cosmos is an ordered universe created by God with 7 stacked heavens, 7 earths, and God's throne is in the highest or top heaven. It's a manifestation of divine will and structured to be for the benefit of humanity, which is on the top layer of the earth. This symbolizes God's singularity and the purposeful nature of creation, which is important. The 7 heavens gives where we get our phrase, I'm in the 7th heaven, because the highest of the 7 heavens is where God's throne is, the most important spot. They're stacked on top of each other, and populated in different levels by the angels and the prophets. There are also, however, 7 earths, the lowest layer being hell, and the highest layer being where we live. So technically, in a way, we're in a kind of hell, in case you're wondering. There is a cosmic ocean, and God's throne is the highest point. So, all of this comes out of the cosmic ocean. 7 earths and 7 heavens. 7 and 7, 7 being an important number, of course. All things are part of Al-Korn, which comes from the word be, because God spoke the world into existence, and everything that is comes from that. Now, there's very much a view of fate running through this, Jahil, where you are basically at the fate of fate, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And of course, this means that knowing your fate was very, very important, and knowing the stars became very important. So astronomy became, and mathematics became very a big thing, and that, of course, has led to a great many important discoveries that we use to this day. But in comparison, what about the Khoisan? Well, we know that the Khoisan, from right down south in Africa, the sun was a man who became that after he was thrown in the sky by children. The moon is that it is Kagan, the creator god, thrown sandal, though sometimes it's an ostrich feather he used to wipe his tears. Kagan is the mantis god and a trickster, the supreme being, and he created the universe and connected to all natural elements. The sun is there to be bright, and the moon comes from a number of things, either sandal of Kagan, an ostrich feather from Kagan, or possibly a man, it's not sure. The stars were holes in the sky that lets the sun's light through after it travels back home each night. Others will say that the sun is always there above us, you just can't see it. Now, of course, the San have a shamanic view, and there are different levels to the cosmos, and shaman can go there to deal with conflict and so on. Animals hold an importance within this view, though, and so they turn up as being important to how the world was created. Nevertheless, you have a singular earth with things around it. Again, a singular viewpoint, which is pretty cool. Hlumi and Nadir, welcome, welcome. Now, the Inuit have a multi-layered world with the earth as a flat disk beneath a sky with several celestial realms. They are often considered to be human spirits transformed by transgressions. So the sun is the goddess Malina, the moon is Anigan, who were once siblings. The aurora borealis is where the spirits who died from blood loss or childbirth live, and you see that it is the spirits playing a game with a walrus skull. The earth is a disk surrounded by the sky. The sky is composed of 4 to 5 layers of celestial realms, considered to be different lands of the dead. They are all interconnected, though. So living, dead, and spirits are linked by portals, but only shaman can travel through them. The celestial bodies are quite important as well. And we know that the spirits basically keep things going. And the only person who can properly interact with these spirits, of course, is the Ankuk, the shaman. who will keep things in balance. Now, as we progress with this, excuse me, I'm a little stiff. According to Aztec mythology, the cosmos is a cyclical entity of creation and destruction with structured layers throughout, and the middle world, again, is humans. I find it interesting that in every case when you have a structured, multi-realmed cosmos, we are always the middle. It's like the thing. We are the middle of everything. Now, according to the Aztecs, we've gone through 4 previous ages, which each ended with catastrophe, and we are now in the 5th sun, which is going to end in earthquakes, in case you're wondering. The cosmology emphasizes the universe sustained by continuous divine struggle, and that sacrifice is needed to maintain order and delay the eventual collapse. The layers are 3, and they are vertical. You have the earth, for us, the 13 heavens above, which go all the way to the top, where the uppermost one is Omeocan, the place of duality. And you have 9 underworlds known as Mictlan. The cardinal directions are very, very important and give structure around the cosmic points. So the first sun was Nahui Ocelotti, and the world ended when we were all eaten by jaguars. Sounds pretty cool. The second sun, Nahual Ekati, was destroyed by violent winds, and any survivors were turned into monkeys. The third sun, Nahui Queahutl, ended in a rain of fire, and the people were transformed into turkeys. The fourth sun, Nahui Atl, was destroyed by a great flood, and survivors became fish. Now we have the 5th sun, Nahui Olin, and the gods sacrificed themselves to set the sun in motion for this, and we will end by earthquakes when it happens. Cosmic maintenance and sacrifice is kind of important because the cosmic myth requires us. Now, as we progress, conflict keeps it going. The 5 suns matter. So let us talk about the 5 suns. So 5 suns are the 5 ages that we shall have to live to, according to the Aztecs. These are the beliefs held by pre-Columbian peoples in Mesoamerica. We've gone through 4 already, and the Aztecs say that the creation myths are basically imported because you start with a void that the first god, Ometeotl, created, and then created as he created himself. You have the 4 realms, if you will, the 4 directions. So there are 4 gods, one for each direction, which matters, and they believe that the gods created the universe at Teotihuacan. So Teotihuacan, we call it that from the Nahuatl word, which what certain of the Aztecs spoke around 500 years after the fall of Teotihuacan. Now, the gods themselves came from there, which shows that it is a massively holy city and central to the universe. So, yeah. You go through the suns, we all die, and eventually there will be Kak thereon. But you have three realms: the heavens above, the earth below, and us in between, and keeping them separate is quite important. Now, the Mayan cosmos, there are 13 levels, 9-level underworld, and 13 heavens, and us in the middle. Now, we are a giant caiman turtle floating on the primordial sea, and the great ceiba tree acts as the axis of the universe, with the roots in the underworld and the trunk on earth and the branches in heaven. 13 heavens, each with its own deity, 9 levels of the underworld, each with its own deity, and a flat middle earth with the 4 cardinal directions, each of which are guarded by a different deity. And then a saber tree in the middle, that is the axis to turn the world. Now, as we progress along, we've got the earth, the sky, the underworld, and the sun moves around the middle world, and the sun god runs across the sky as a jaguar in the day and goes into the underworld and runs across at night, which is why you don't see the sun. The sky is held off from the earth by deities called the Bakabs, kind of a 2-headed dragon, if you will. So, yeah. As we go along, we are now going to see where we can go next with the cosmos. Just clearing out a number of these things to speed up connections. There's so much to go through. There will be a third live on this topic. But what about the Indian view? Well, the Indian mythology describes a cyclical cosmos governed by the divine trinity of Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. The universe undergoes cycles of creation, preservation, and destruction. The cosmos is vast and multi-layered, with 14 realms or lokas, a 7-tiered earth, Boloka, at the center, concentric oceans surrounding it, and everything resting on the cosmic serpent, Shesha. The universe is not a one-time event, but an eternal, renewed process. The Trimurti oversee the cyclical existence, and each cycle is a kalpas, a day for Brahma. Brahma creates the universe, often depicted as emerging from a lotus that grew from Vishnu's navel. It is preserved then for a time, and then Shiva destroys the universe at the end of the cycle so that Brahma can begin the process anew. The cycle is not final, but is continuous and happens again and again and again. Now, of course, the lokas are segmented, 7 higher, 7 lower. The abodes of the gods and very important celestial beings are in the higher lokas, and the realms of the lower beings, but still celestial, are in the lower locus. Demons and things go in the locus below that yet, and we, smack-dam, are in the middle. The Earth is depicted as 7 concentric continents, dvipas, surrounded by different oceans, while the central continent is the most important and, unsurprisingly, is India. Mount Meru is the cosmic mountain in the center of the universe, and the Earth is supported by the cosmic serpent Shesha, who is on the shell of a tortoise called Akupara. Does this matter? I don't know. The views, of course, are heavily tied into religion, and balance in the world is achieved through sattva, rajas, and tamas. And if you don't have all things proper, then, of course, the world without will fail. Now, of course, this is echoed within the person, and we too must have balance, or we too will fail. So we are an echo, in a way, of the universe, and we see the levels through the chakras. Looking at 2 more interesting things from West Africa, the Dogon. Now, the supreme deity is Amma, a genderless, dual-gendered deity that created the universe from a primordial egg. The formation of the universe is described in terms of a Big Bang-like event, and things are scattered to create the galaxy, stars, and planets. Their concept of matter is described as an atom with smaller components within that make up everything, and the primordial particles and vibrations are central to their mythology, and they parallel modern scientific theories. So you may look at the Po like an atom, and the Syneds like protons and neutrons. The view of how it all comes together is basically scientific, almost as if it's a mythological version of what science tells us. But we know that they are very weird, nevertheless, because the Dogon know about star clusters you cannot see. And according to them, they were told about it by aliens that came to them. Now, in contrast with that, you have the Yoruba cosmology. The human being is said to have 3 parts: Ara, body; breath, Emi; and soul, Ori. The body is molded by the arch divinity, the Orishanla, but the supreme being, the Oludmara, breathes life into it. The soul, Ori, is a crucial element of the person and is connected to the divine, as seen through the Ache. Now, the cosmology of the world is essentially exactly the same. You have the body, the earth, the winds that run between, the Emi, and the soul, the heavens above. So we can absolutely say that we are the cosmos, the earth is the cosmos, and we echo each other in that way. And there's a certain amount of truth to that, too. Now, the scientific Dogon is very, very strange. It's all connecting science is way ahead of a a group of people that couldn't have developed such things, that know about star systems you can only now recently see with modern telescopes, and descriptions that even 20th century Western science is only starting to understand. We do not know for certain if they're even right. They might be. It worries us. All things are in balance, including the tiny parts within the microscopic atoms they speak of. And we are formed from the cosmic egg, like a big bang. Now, the Nommo, the amphibious mermaid aliens, came to Earth to bring us knowledge and balance, and explained everything to the Dogon. Now, all of it is a load of mythological bullshit according to science, except for the fact that they were correct, and the more science looks into it, the more they realized that the Dogon were right. So they have detailed knowledge of the star Sirius, including its binary nature, its 50-year orbit, and so on. They describe Sirius B as being an invisible and small, dense white dwarf star, also now confirmed by modern science. And everybody wants to know and cannot explain is how the hell they knew this, because nobody knows. So modern science is stumped. The Dogon knew that Jupiter had 4 moons, that Saturn had a ring, long before modern science. So you wanted a scientific cosmogony? Go to the Dogon. Now, in comparison, the cosmos is a lidded vessel, like a gourd, according to the Yoruba, made up of Oran, heaven, your spiritual realm, and Aye, earth. Olodumare lives in heaven, source of creation and the giver of Ase, the divine life force or power. He's the head dude there, but it is also the realm of the Orishas, the deities or primordial divinities who serve as intermediaries or manifestations of Olodumare's will. The Ngun are also there, and the spiritual selves of human. So the Iponri and the Egun, the ancestral spirits, are all within heaven. Below is Aye, earth, the lower tangible world, there where the living human beings, animals, plants, and natural forces are. And the boundary between Aye and Orun is permeable. And so you can move between the two worlds. So they have a dualistic view. And everything, therefore, has its importance between the two. Olodumare's command made the universe when Olodumare found the watery expanse and created solid land for living beings. The job of it may have been given over to Obatala, or it might have been Olodumare himself. The story goes that a golden chain was used to descend from heaven, and a snail shell was filled with sand, the primordial earth, and a 5-toed hen or pigeon, a palm nut, and a black cat was brought with for company. The edge of the waters, he poured the sand into the water, and the hen water, and the hen